Hi, welcome to Shogini Systems. Today's video is very important because we are going to see how we can save our cost by self-hosting the automation entities, by self-hosting the automation SaaS platforms. So today what we're going to see is how to start your own SaaS platform server and how to install the essentials, how to create a simple API endpoint. This API endpoint can be called from make.com or N8 or any other Zapier to any other platforms where you want to offer an API endpoint. You can do similar thing. So this is a very reliable production grade API hosting platform that we're going to see in this small video. So we will use DigitalOcean, but you can use Amazon, AWS or Microsoft Azure or even Google GCP for this. So, but for starters, DigitalOcean is very convenient. So I have an account, I will log in. So let's start and do it together to start up a small virtual machine. Okay, so I'm logged into my DigitalOcean cloud interface, and here I will click create. I will create a droplet. So DigitalOcean has different objects that you can, so DigitalOcean's cloud platform offers different objects that you can create. Droplet is just like an EC2 instance, a virtual machine. You can also have a Kubernetes instance. Kubernetes is a container orchestration platform. We will see later in our videos how we can containerize an application and launch into a Kubernetes cluster. DigitalOcean also offers app platform. App platform is a mechanism which will run just a Docker container. So that is also sometimes easier for beginners if you want to run only one container. But what we are going to see today is a droplet where you can run multiple containers. And DigitalOcean also offers functions where you just want to offer a Python function or a Node or similar functions. You can just, you don't need an instance, you only need a function as a service. So that is this functions. This is similar to AWS Lambda. And there are other objects which are not immediately relevant for us here. So our focus is to create a new fresh droplet. We will create it, and you can pick a region that is near to you or that is near to your target audience. You can either choose an operating system, or from the marketplace you can pick a Docker container. Okay, so here I clicked the marketplace and picked Docker on Ubuntu 22.04. Okay, so you get Docker pre-installed. You could also start a Ubuntu container. You could also start an Ubuntu droplet and install Docker, but you can save time by ready Docker pre-installed Ubuntu. Okay, and shared CPU, and let's keep the cost low. See, the smallest is $6 per month. Okay, so for this, if you need additional space, you can add here, but we will go with the default space, which is 25 GB. That is more than enough for our API SaaS hosting. We don't need any automated backup now, but when you go live, make sure that you enable the automated backup. Okay, and I have added my SSH key here. If you want to access this from your terminal, what you need to do is you have to run SSH keygen to create a private public key, and take the public key and paste it here. It is very easy. If you haven't done it, you please comment it in the comment section. I have already put my public key here. Another interesting thing is DigitalOcean also offers a browser-based terminal. So you don't need an external terminal for access. Okay, so we can keep improved metrics performance, which is free. So we have one droplet, but you can increase it to any number of droplet that you want. And when you have several SaaS droplets, you can give them different tags to indicate for which customer or which target platform that you have created these SaaS endpoints. Okay, so that is it, and I'm putting it under the default Sri project. Okay, so I'm clicking create. So let's wait for the droplet to complete the creation. And remember, you can attach your domain names to these droplets too. Okay, so here we have the droplet ready. So let's copy this public IP address and go to our terminal and see if we can access. Okay, so this is my terminal. I will access using my private key like this. So that is the key that I have used at that in the droplet. ID RSA and root at see here I am inside the droplet which we created just now. We will keep the root as the user, but when you go production, you create a user and add the user in the Docker group, etc. But those are all simple steps. To keep this video simple, we will not go into those areas. We know that we got a droplet, which is a virtual machine, which has Docker engine installed. Let's run a Docker image and see if we can access it from the public using the public IP address. So Docker run will run a container. Remember, any question on Docker also you can ask through our community section, which is free. Please remember to sign up. So all the resources that you need for these videos are also uploaded in the community section. Okay, so see you in the community section. So Docker run. By the way, I have also written a book on Docker in 2018. Okay, so Docker run -d will run this container in the background, and -p will map the container port to a public port. So we will use say 8080, and our container is Nginx, which is listening to port 80, Nginx :Alpine. So it is pulling the image, and now if you look at Docker PS, you will see that we have a container running. Okay, so port 80. So now if we take the public IP address that we use to get into this, that is this public IP address, if you access port 8080, we should actually get access to that Nginx. See this? The container that we launched just now. How do we confirm? We can even get into the container. Say docker exec -ti container ID F9 sh. Okay, so I got into the container use, and we'll go to the Nginx HTML folder and echo hello to a file sri.txt. Okay, so now if you access sri.txt here, you will see that that file is getting served. So now what we're going to do is we are going to take it further by adding an API endpoint, so that when we browse that endpoint, we get a JSON output. So that is what we are going to do. We will use Python and Fast API, which is one of the best API that you can use for your SaaS applications. So this is a tiny hello world example, which we can extend it further. So let's come out of this container, and we can kill this container, docker rm-f, container name f starts with F9. So container is gone, no containers running. So what we will do is we will use the nano editor to create a Dockerfile. Okay, and paste some lines. I will provide all these lines in the community section for you to download. Let's understand what these lines are doing. Okay. So this is the Dockerfile. Let's understand this Dockerfile. So here it says from Python 3.9 Slim. Now Python 3.9 Slim is a Docker image which is pre-built to have Python 3.9, which is available in the Docker Hub, which is a container registry, which is a Docker image registry, which we call container registry. So this is clear. So this is a pre-built Docker image. And then we define /app. This can be anything, but this is the common practice, app for app. So that whatever files that you put will go into this container folder. Then we copy a requirements.txt file. We will see what that is. And execute pip install so that all the dependencies needed for our Python application are also installed into the container image. So then what we are doing here is we are copying the main.py, which is our main SaaS application, into the current folder. Clear? And then we are exposing port 8000. You can expose any other port that you wish. And then we use a Python server to serve our application. So this unicorn is a Python server which will serve your main.py on this port address. Clear? So that is the Dockerfile, and Dockerfile is the template that is used to create Docker images that we are going to build. So let's save this and exit and create the requirements.txt file. Let's paste the two libraries that we need, that is Fast API library and Unicorn library. These are the only two libraries that we are using for this application. Okay, so now what do we need to do? We need to create the main.py application. Okay, so here is the main.py, which is our SaaS application. I have made it very, very simple so that there is no confusion. You will easily understand how this is done. So here we are importing some libraries needed. One is Fast API, then one UUID. This UUID is used to create the API key. Then we are initiating the app Fast API object, and then we are creating one endpoint. Okay, so this public IP address colon port address /API key. If you browse, you should get a new API key. That is a tiny example that we are going to do. So here we are generating the UUID, and then we are returning the JSON object API underscore key with the value. Clear? So that is the Python example. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we will build the Docker image. Docker build the image tag my API key SaaS. That is the image name that we will give, and let's build it. So the Docker image has been created, and now what will we do? We have no container running, so Docker run -p. Remember, we have used 8000, so you can use any public port address here. Here I am using 8000 for the public port as well, and then we give the Docker image name. That is it. So sorry, let's run it in the background so that it continues to run even after we close the terminal. So if you look at Docker PS, you will notice that we have one container running, listening to port 8000. Now what we do, if you browse 8000, nothing happened because that root path we have not mapped. Okay, so here we can type API key like this, and see here we got a newly created API key from our tiny SaaS application. Every time you refresh, you see that the API key changes. So this way, you can connect this using make.com or Zapier or N8N to fetch random API keys, and then you can populate Airtable, etc. And you can also authenticate. Next video, we'll see how we can add a header API key to authenticate the request so that we can avoid unwanted requests. And another thing is, this fast API also gives a documentation endpoint, which is very nice, where you can try out your API. So if you browse this URL/docs, you get an endpoint, and then if you click try it out, you have a panel comes up where you can input values if any, but in this API endpoint, there is no input. So if you simply execute, you will notice that response body API key is generated, and every time you execute, you will notice that we get a new unique key. That is it. So remember, after these exercises, if you don't want these containers, remember to terminate. Okay, so that is it for now. See you again. Remember to join our community section so that we can learn together, and all the resources that you need to create these examples are also available for you to download. And please remember to like, share and subscribe so that more and more people will see these videos, and also our channel will grow. See you again. Bye-bye.